Okay, Maverick Gamers, we're doing this. Who goes first? Welcome back, Maverick Gamers. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you're going to know that I definitely don't shy away from shaking up the status quo and just deconstructing the Dungeons & Dragons 5e rule set. And you also know that I'm an old school gamer who's got a lot of beefs with existing rules and the way that they currently are used in the game. Well, today's episode is no different. Today I'm focusing on initiative. Now, I've got a lot of beefs with initiative, but most of it derives from the player's inability to make decisions in a timely fashion. Now, I've come up with a new system that I think might shake things up a bit, and it also might give players a little bit more urgency when deciding what they're going to do when it comes to making their decisions moment to moment in a game of D&D. Let's have a look. Now, rules as written in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, initiative is rolled once for the entirety of the combat. Basically, that means that all the monsters, all the players, are going to go on exactly the same roll every single round. Now, this in itself is good and great for record keeping, and it just keeps everything streamlined. But I remember a time when I rolled initiative every single round. Not only did this keep the players guessing, but it added a little bit more of a dynamic system to the combat, meaning if you rolled bad one round, you could bounce back in the following round. The first change that I'm proposing is that we go back to that old system where initiative is rolled once every round. By doing this, you're going to add a little bit more of a dynamic flair to combat, and you're not going to have players sort of guessing ahead as to what they're going to do each and every round at the same point. Here's where things are going to get really controversial. So rather than waiting till your initiative turn and making a decision as to what you're going to do or what your character is going to do, this new rule requires that all players commit to their actions before they roll initiative. That's right. You're going to go around the table and ask each player in turn, what are they going to do without knowing where they're going to sit in the initiative order. That means making decisions like attacking, running away, dodging, all of that needs to happen before you know whether or not the monster you're facing or the enemy you're facing is going to act first. This adds a new dynamic to the whole combat situation. Is really going to make your players think hard about their actions and whether or not they want to commit to attacking or whether or not they want to be a little bit more defensive. Well, I'm not done yet. So for the next change I'm proposing is have one player at the table, or alternate each round, and have that one player roll the initiative for the entire group. Just like you do with the monsters as the Dungeon Master, rolling once for the entire group of players, and then have each of them modify that result by their individual initiative bonuses or penalties. This makes sure there's a certain sense of unity, and there's no arguments, and it also cuts down the amount of time involved as far as rolling initiative goes. One of the things that I really love about this system is that it basically drives home the point that combat is not predictable. Players who are used to acting on their turn and knowing exactly what they're going to do for the circumstances are really going to get shaken up by this. Consider this. A player going into combat confidently knowing that he's going to do exactly what he needs to do when it comes to be his turn because he knows the initiative order, versus a player who declares his action only to find out that the battlefield has shifted and maybe that attack that he was going to do is no longer feasible, or worse yet, maybe not the best strategy that he can really employ at that moment. Now, if your players get in a predicament like this, here's how you solve that. Have them make a dexterity saving throw with a difficulty of 12. This is a very modest difficulty level, but it allows them to shift course and decide on a different course of action that may actually be more beneficial than the one that they may have previously done when they didn't know what their initiative score was going to be. If they succeed at this DC 12 dexterity throw, allow them the chance to course correct and actually come up with a new action on the fly. If they fail this, they're going to proceed with their action. You might have to use a little bit of creativity as a dungeon master to decide how that plays out, especially if an enemy that was previously accessible is no longer accessible because they've moved to a different area of the battlefield. This new initiative system is really going to shake up the players and going to make them really think hard about exactly what they want to do. It's also going to get rid of all that dilly-dallying for when it becomes time that they have to decide what they want to do on the fly when it's their turn to take their initiative action. Making decisions up front really forces the players to invest in the combat and make smart choices rather than just relying on knowing that they get to go before the enemy gets to go. Thanks for watching this video, and I hope some of the content in it has given you a different perspective on how you're going to run initiative in your games, or if you're just going to stick with the status quo. Hope everybody's having fun playing Dungeons & Dragons out there, and we'll talk to you soon. Before you go, I need your help. I'm trying to grow the exposure of what we do here at Maverick Games. My goal is to actually bring information to parents and students around the world in hopes that they can see gaming as a path forward for learning, academics, and even support of neurodivergency. Please subscribe, make sure you click on those notifications, and I hope that you'll find content here that will be helpful for you and maybe others. Thank you very much, and thanks for tuning in.